Brother Kadash giving our praises to Yahweh, Yahweh alone, Brakta Yahweh, Brakta Yahweh, Brakta Yahweh. You know, this is 2 North Texan men indicted in alleged plot to invade Haitian island, kill all men, enslaved women, and children. You know, we're going to bring out some Bible scripture about this too, you know, because it's in the Bible. But I want to say this before we even get started on the video, is that this just exposed Esau. Of course, it's 2 Edomites, but this exposed Esau's spirit, because what these 2 men with this video that you're about to see, what they were planning on doing is no different than what the U.S. government, whatever they call it, the Edomites, with Christopher Columbus, is no different than what they did 400 years ago in the Americas. It's absolutely no different. This is their spirit, and this is what they do. But also, it talks about in the Bible that us as Israelites, we're allowed to do it. So this is going to be a different type of video than what you thought it might have been. But Esau does things. He has action and results from it. We too busy living off, you know, basically crack or zombies, like living off Christianity, you know, told not to do anything, just wait, keep waiting, right? Believing in idolatry, worshiping other gods, when the Lord told us that he waiting for us to get right. It's all in us. It says in Daniel that the saints of the Most High, I think that's Daniel chapter 2. It says the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom of heaven. You see what I'm saying? Long as we too busy arguing, fighting over doctrine, scriptures, idol worshiping, which most of that comes from New Testament, because you rarely see brothers that believe in the Old Testament arguing and fighting and debating, because it's pretty much straight plain. There is really no way to have, you know, very large differences. That comes in the New Testament, because the New Testament is false. Has a lot of error in it, you know. It's corrupted. And when you believe in that, you follow that, that brings corruption into your organization too. You know, so let's let this video play.
One of 2 North Texas men arrested for allegedly plotting a murderous coup on a Caribbean island is now telling everybody to, quote, hold their horses. Hello, everybody. I'm Heather Hayes.
And I'm Steve Eager. Federal officials announced the indictments for Gavin Wiesenberg and Tanner Thomas. Investigators allege the men were looking to recruit a small army, take a sailboat to an island just a few miles off the coast of Haiti, kill all the men on the island, and enslave the women and children. Fox 4's Alex Boyer has more on this bizarre story. Alex.
Yeah, guys, to put things in perspective, a criminologist I spoke to for this story tells me that this is the most bizarre case he has ever reviewed in his 29 years in law enforcement. Now, those 2 North Texas suspects remain in jail. And again, as you mentioned, they're accused of plotting a coup some 1,700 miles away. These are the North Texas men federal prosecutors say were planning to travel to an island in Haiti to kill the men and turn the women into sex slaves. Dr. Alex Del Carmen calls it the most bizarre case he's seen in his entire career.
Well, you know, this is a very unusual case, right?
According to a federal indictment, 21-year-old Gavin Wiesenberg from Allen and 20-year-old Tanner Thomas from Argyle had been plotting to invade Gonave Island with a population of 87,000, which is part of Haiti. Prosecutors say Wiesenberg and Thomas planned to invade the island by sailboat, heavily armed, using homeless people they would enlist from Washington, D.C. to murder the men on the island, take control of the territory, and then turn the women into sex slaves. Prosecutors say Thomas prepared for the attack by enlisting in the Air Force for military training, and Wiesenberg enrolled in a fire training academy but later flunked out. Both men are accused of manufacturing child pornography by manipulating and exploiting a juvenile. I talked to
So I want to say that, first off, this is completely wicked what they doing. It's wicked. Not that the act is wicked, because it's actually biblical, but it's wicked for them to do it because those, you know, people in Haiti, that's their land, and they're coming and taking well, at least they were planning on coming to take those people land from them, you know. Now it's different if we did something like that. Let's just say we did something like that in the Americas, because you would say that the land belonged to us if you talk about the the Israelites. You see what I'm saying? Native Americans, Latinos, and blacks. If you say that the land belonged to us as a collective, even if you say it belonged to the Native Americans and Latinos, you know, because like think about like Texas and Cali and New Mexico, Arizona, all those belong to Mexico. You see what I'm saying? So Latinos and Native Americans, and then the whole country was built on the backs of the blacks. You see what I'm saying? Which we make up the 12 tribes of Israel together, right? So now let's just say we did something like that, what they were planning on doing, but we did in Americas. Well, that wouldn't be unrighteous. That's why I said the act isn't unrighteous, because the land actually belonged to us. It's unrighteous for them. It's wicked for them because that land don't belong to them. But I do give Esau credit on how he actually has action behind what he does. It's not just, oh, we're gonna wait or we're gonna think about it. They actually put action. You see, they actually went and enrolled in the military, got training, put together a plan. They were gonna go over there and try to take that whole land, make it theirs, kill all the men, and then keep the woman a sex slave because you got to reproduce and everything, and then you need a working class. They were going to do the same thing that the U.S. government did in America 400 years ago. They were going to go over there and do that in a small island. You see what I'm saying? Because they wanted their own land. This is Esau's spirit. It's the same spirit they had when they was coming from Great Britain, coming to the Americas, you know, looking for other land. It's that same exact spirit, the same exact thing, right? Now let's go in the Bible. We got to get back to, you know, the law, statutes, and commandments of the Lord. This stuff right here is stuff that can't be debated. You know, that's why I became Old Testament only. You know, even though, yeah, there's some stuff in the New Testament that line up because it was hijacked from the Old Testament, but this is the reason why I became Yahweh only and Old Testament only, because when we go into the laws, these are things that can't be argued, man. It's simple and plain. But when you bring in a New Testament and it's saying something different, but then it's tricking your head because you want to believe in the whole Bible, like they say, Old and New Testament, then you will start making up excuses saying, well, the New Testament is expounding, when no, it's actually changing from the law of Moses. And we know what Isaiah 8 says about if it doesn't add up to this, you know, to the law and the testimonies, that's because there's no light in it. And instead of saying, look, this is a change, so we're going to throw this out, people still want to keep it either for money, fame, you know, they want to worship Jesus either because it makes them more famous if they do it, or they could get more money by doing it because the Christian population is one of the biggest populations on earth. So because of that, they you know, they got their different reasons. But this is Deuteronomy 21. Let's get back in this law. Verse 10, when thou go forth to war against thy enemies, and the Lord thy God has delivered them into thy hands, and thou hast taken them captive, and seeth among a captive a beautiful woman, and has a desire unto her, that thou wouldst have her to be to thy wife. Then thou shalt bring her home to thy house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails, and she shall put the remnant of her captivity from off her. So if you go to war, right, what they did was kill the man, and then the woman that was left, if you wanted to take her to be a wife, because you can't commit adultery. So if these women got husbands, right, those men would die during war, and that would leave these women as widows. Then you could take those women to be your wife if you wanted to, and she did not have a choice if she became your wife or not. It's just depending on if you had a desire towards her. It says, then thou shalt bring her home to thy house, and shall shave her head and pare her nails. So you had to do all that, like a clean slate, you know. But then you will put the remnant of her captivity off from her, because now she's your wife. And you know, we have a standard of how we treat our wives. And shall remain, and that's in the law too, and shall remain in thy house, and bewail her father and mother a full month. Right? Because it takes time. You know, you just killed the man, you just went to war, conquered a nation, took their land. So it takes time, you know what I mean? And after that, thou shalt go into her and be her husband, and she should be thy wife. So you got to wait a full month, you know? She got to be in the house, be around, get that anger off of her, you know what I mean? Get that nervousness off of her. And then you're going to go into her. And then when you go into her, you know, the science behind the sperm mixing with the woman, and then mixing with changing her DNA to be more like yours. You know, after so many times you go into her and you get the popping her, you know, she going to give in. And then she going to start to become like you. She going to start to accept how things is. It's no different than what happened to the blacks. You know what I mean? When so-called blacks, which are tribe of Judah, on the real true Israelites, the true Jews, right? It's no different. You know, they took us in slavery. We put up a fight. We were mad about it. But then after a while, being in slavery, you see what you have today. in America where we accept it. We don't even want to leave the Americas. We're scared of leaving the Americas. We love it here in America, but we complain so much. You know what I mean? We get the food stamps. Look what just happened with the whole food stamps thing. And then they gave it back to us, you know. We're content being here. You see what I'm saying? We don't want to follow the Lord. We're content with following Thanksgiving, these wicked holidays, Christmas and everything. We don't want to keep the Passover, but we're going to keep Valentine's Day. We're going to keep New Year's. We're going to keep Christmas. You see what I'm saying? So it's the same thing over time. You know, there's only so much fight they could get until they give up. And then they start to accept things. Because let's just say you take this woman be your wife after war. You're not really treating her bad because she your wife. You see what I'm saying? So she getting the good things. You know what I mean? She getting the she learning the law, which is actually going to benefit her, probably from the way they was living anyways. You see what I'm saying? So the things in the past is the past. You see what I'm saying? So then you have a daughter or a son with this woman. They don't even know anything about the past. They was just born. You see what I'm saying? That over time, that's how it works. And this is what Esau did here in the Americas, right? Verse 14, and it shall be, if thou have no delight in her, then thou shalt let her go whither she will. But if thou shalt not sell her at all for money, thou shalt not make merchandise of her, because thou hast humbled her, right? So you can't sell her, but you could let her go. And this is the difference between her, a woman, and then an Israelite woman that you take a wife. You can't just let an Israelite woman go, but you could give her a bill of divorce. You see what I'm saying? But let's keep going. Verse 15. If a man have two wives, one beloved and one hated, and they born him children, both the beloved and hated, and if the first son be hers that was hated, then it shall be, when he maketh his son to inherit that which he has, that he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son of the hated, which is indeed the firstborn. Okay, that's going into something different, but that's just showing you the man can have two wives. Because you might ask the question, okay, if you have a wife, right? That's one wife at home, and then you go to war, and then you see a woman that you delight in, like we just read. Can you take that woman to be a wife if you already got a wife at home? Yes, because you can have multiple wives. See, if we just go off the Old Testament, then we don't have to question, can a man have multiple wives or not? It's only until you get to the New Testament with the corruption, then people start questioning, oh, we can't have more than one wife. You can't have. The Old Testament make it clear. That's why I said Old Testament brothers don't fight as much or have that many disagreements as the New Testament brothers, because it's very clear, plain and simple. Of course we can have multiple wives. It says it literally in the law. I just read it in. It only makes sense if you got a wife at home and you go to war and you see another woman. Can you or can you not, based on the law, take her to be a wife? Yes. And if you do take her to be a wife, that will make you have two wives, multiple wives. It's that clear. Now let me get another priest. This is Habakkuk 2, because this is the spirit of Esau, and the Bible tells us that. Verse 1, I will stand upon my watch and set upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I reprove. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision, make it plain upon the tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for a appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Thou it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just should live by his faith. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, and gather into him all nations, and heap into him all people. That sound like America, right? But you see in that video that the Edomites, they wanted to go to a so-called black island. Why they didn't plan to go take over like a white island? You see what I'm saying? Or something like that. Or go take over our white country and kill all the men and enslave the women. No, because they still have a superior mindset where they think they're superior to us. And they understand that they're a nation. And they identify with other white people as being a nation, because they are collectively, they may be named different things. German, Italy, America, Russia, they may be named different things, but collectively the spirit knows that they're all the same nation of people, which are Edomites. You see what I'm saying? So they not planning on going to a white country or a white island and taking over the land, because they understand that those are their people, and they understand that these so-called black people, Haitians, which are Israelites, they understand that these are a different people. So it's game on. Let's go kill their man. You see what I'm saying? which is just a sickness in their head because they should have knew they was never going to get away from it. Let's just say they went over there and they actually killed some of the men, right? Then let's just say America didn't have nothing to do with it. Then Haiti would have had, they got army like a little small, not nothing big, but they got some military over there. They would have came and took it back. You see what I'm saying? So their mindset is that was so flawed and so stupid, but they actually put work and enlisted in the army to gain experience and organize people together. This was a real plan that they was doing. You see what I'm saying? But America would have came over there and took them out anyways, or another nation would have did it anyway. So it was so stupid. But that's their spirit though, right? Verse 6. Should not all these take a parable against him, a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? This is what happened in America. How long to him that leadeth himself with thick clay? Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of thy people shall be spoiled, because of man's blood, and for the violence of the land of the city, and all that dwelleth therein. So can Edomites be saved? No, because all the remnant of them shall be spoiled, because they spoiled many nations, all of the remnant, right? It says, verse 9, woe unto him that covet a evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil, right? Thou hast consulted shame into thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. We were cut off when they brung in the blacks into slavery, right? They cut us off, you know what I mean? So we don't really know our history. We're waking up to it. The Lord sent teachers out there, prophets out there, to bring back this lost knowledge, you know. Thou hast, verse 11, for the stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam out of the timber shall answer it. Woe unto him that buildeth a town with blood, and establish a city by iniquity, right? So that's what they did. They built America by blood and established it by iniquity. But they still have that same spirit from 400 years ago, from 2,000 years ago with the Romans, or 3,000 years ago with the Romans. They still got that same spirit. It's no different than what the Romans did in Jerusalem and Israel. They went in there 70 AD. They took the land. They killed man, and they enslaved the women and the children. It's the same exact spirit, man. That's how we know these are the Edomites. It's the same thing that these two Edomites were planning on doing, right? So ain't no change, and we don't, and ain't no, well, my ancestors did that, but I'm a different person today. I don't believe in that. No, you just have the comforts of living in a first world country, so you don't have to have that same spirit. You don't have to do what your ancestors did. But if you take away the comforts of living in a first world country, which is happening little by little, and it's starting to expose these devils' true spirit, as you see, example, right, exhibit A, right, then you will revert back to being just like your ancestors, and that's why you're still guilty. That's why Isaiah 14, let's end it off with Isaiah 14. This is why Isaiah 14 verse 21 says this: prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. And that goes into Obadiah 1. So we could keep going on and on, but it's saying prepare slaughter for the children because of the iniquity of their fathers, because yeah, your forefathers, they call them the founding fathers or something like that, yeah, they came over here and stole the land by war and bloodshed and manipulation and biological warfare and rape, robbery, slavery, right? And you as an Edomite today, you still benefit off what they did in the past. You see what I'm saying? So if you were really a Christian and you were righteous, or whatever you say, claim to be, then you would leave. Once you get that knowledge as a white American, you would leave America and you would go back to Germany, you would go back to Europe, you would go back to Great Britain or whatever. You would leave and you say, look, as a so-called Christian, I can't stand for what my ancestors did, and I can't stay on this land knowing that it's stolen and continue to benefit off of it. But ain't none of y'all saying that though. Y'all just, well, this is just our land now, you know, and this is our home now. You see what I'm saying? So that's why you're going to be held guilty for the iniquity of your fathers, because you're accessory to the crime, because you benefit off of it till this day. You can't say that about Black Americans, because we didn't come over here. Even if we did come over here, the Native Americans are our people too. You see what I'm saying? And the Latinos are our people too. So it wouldn't be the same thing. We'll just be coming to a place that is technically already home to us. But in the history of things, You brung us over here by force. So we're not going to be held guilty. The Latinos not going to be held guilty because this they land. The Native Americans, ain't no difference really between Native Americans and Latinos. It's a borderline. Everybody in North America from this side were Native Americans, and then everybody from this side are Latinos in South America. It's the same. If you take away the border, it's just a group of people that live on this land that's connected, landlocked, connected by land. You see what I'm saying? So really ain't no difference. They not gonna be guilty because this was their land at first. You're gonna be guilty, Edomites, for going to a different land, stealing it, rape, rob, murder, and enslaving people. You know. So with that, I'm gonna say salvation to the elect.